in terms of the externalization, I mean, isn't there like, something to drawing attention to, like the actual like function and role of the Vatican and like the actual empire and like getting people to like clue into that at the same time, like getting all these people like the
Yes.
truthers
Yeah,
to
yeah, that's
convert
what
to
Sacha
Catholicism,
Stone. Yeah,
because
Sacha.
they're also
Yeah.
getting like Candace Owens and like all these all these people like the what's the guy's name, Russell Brand. They're all becoming Catholics, all the truthers, like it's cool. Jack Posobiec is Catholic, Steve Bannon is Catholic, like like they're Michael General Flynn, right? Like, but they're also like they're also drawing attention, like in these like truther circles to like the actual power of the Vatican and its
Yeah, yeah.
role,
No,
in
okay,
empire.
so yeah, get a load of this. So Orsini is one of the core papal families calling the shots behind the scenes. He's one of the guys behind QAnon, specifically Ciro Orsini. They got other more hidden guys who we're not going to hear about, right? But yeah, yeah, he's got this nightclub over in London, has a bunch of celebrities and MI6 assets come over there. It looks like a total way to like coordinate blackmail operations. He's buddies with Sacha Stone. Sacha Stone is actually a leading truther. Sacha Stone appears on collabs with people like Roseanne Barr,
Yep.
yeah, and David Icke. But so Sacha Stone doesn't get as much eyeballs as them. But Sacha Stone is more like an enforcer between them. Actually, I can't tell you how I know this. I cannot tell you that this person who gave me this information wants to stay private, but he killed David Steele. He ordered, so the official records will say that David Steele died of COVID. No, it was actually a hit ordered by Sacha Stone. So Sacha Stone himself, who is working with one of the top papal families, that's really not hard to prove. Just go on his Instagram. But seriously, like they post so much on Instagram that like no mainstream media is going to report on. Like if you wanna find out who's running the world, look up the British and Italian last names I post about. Just search them on Instagram. You're gonna find there's tons of stuff I found on Instagram that I haven't posted because I quickly realized these people have Google alerts on, and these people get alerted when their image. So it's like I'm honestly, I'm a little bit scared to post some of the stuff I
But
have.
they want
But
people to know, though, right?
I think they do, yeah. But like okay, it's like I'll end up quoting threads that'll tie them to trafficking routes. I don't know if they want that.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. It's like if
Right.
it's like, oh yeah, no, I'll post like
Who
if
is
I'm saying
who is David Seal? I don't know. I don't know who you're talking about.
David Steele, he is this former CIA truther who promoted QAnon. All right, but he started
Okay.
coming out.
Okay.
He started talking about how like they will capture. He actually revealed some of these like I-35 Eagles Pass trafficking routes,
Oh.
and started
Okay.
talking about how they'll torture children, how they'll drink children's blood. Shortly after that, he died of COVID. But I'm not going to say who. I'm okay. I'm pretty confident it was. I can't say how I know this, but I think it was Sacha Stone. And Sacha Stone. What I was getting at with him is he actually put out a documentary exposing the Vatican. so,
Oh.
so yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
One of
And he's
these
still
truth.
allowed to give speeches there,
Yeah, yeah. No,
which is
Sacha
like is
Stone.
hilarious.
Sacha Stone filmed part of that document in the Vatican. It's like he was like, "Hey guys, I'm at the Vatican right now. Look at what I." It's like, dude, you're only there because you're supposed to be there.
wow. Wow. Where can you see that?
I
The
look.
the
I don't know how to
documentary.
use the search function for this, but it was I found it on his Facebook account.
But it's like a full length documentary.
Yeah,
Oh my god. I gotta find it.
yeah.
It's interesting that I was telling you about that movie called Eddington that came out like in the last couple months. And there's definitely a character that's based on Sasha Stone. Like there's it's definitely him.
Well, yeah,
Um,
okay, back to the whole cult thing. Yeah, he actually had like this new age sex cult over in Indonesia, also in Thailand. Yeah, and by the way, there's major trafficking operations by these people over in Thailand. Like, my gosh,
mhm.
it's so like, okay, back to what I was saying though about with the Eastern European modeling agencies and how it's worse in Latin America. It's also worse in Southeast Asia. I'll give you the reason for that because like this is a little bit off topic, but other subjects related have come up and it's worth bringing up. It's so much worse in these places actually because in Western countries, everyone's logged and identified, has birth certificates. Like you'll have institutions like that in these other countries, but you end up getting a lot more undocumented people. And okay,
Mhm.
even for the people who are documented, they don't really care if someone goes missing as much. They'll care here. Like it's oh my god. Like so these modeling agencies, they end up getting, those are the kind of people that go into blackmail operations because those, if you have an attractive child or an attractive teenager, that's considered a delicacy, but they also have bottom feeders who are high payers who don't really care about luxury as much. That's where, oh my, I hate wording it that way. I hate wording it that way, but like that's where it comes into where they get them much more in bulk in these countries. And a lot, it's not as much on islands, or it's a lot of times on yachts or underground facilities. And a lot of times they'll just be disposed of in yachts, never found again, or put into body liquidizers or crematoriums literally designed for mass graves for people used up in ritual abuse. It's terrible. Like yeah, Thailand, which Sacha Stone's cult was located in, is one of the main locations for the bulk kind of supply, and that's why Davenport had real estate. Like if you can look up Edward Davenport, who's friends with Ciro Orsini, he's got all these MI6 connections. So I think it was, oh shoot, I can't remember the name of it because honestly, I was drinking when the stream started. I'm a little bit hammered right now, but there's a place in England where Bonnie Blue, Lily Phillips, a bunch of these viral OnlyFans prostitutes are located. They're all located in a place where there's been major child trafficking, ritual abuse.
Derbyshire.
Yeah, Derbyshire.
Derbyshire.
Yeah. They came from there also. Okay, so where this ties in? So like they're also like so both Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips. So Bonnie Blue, she got viral for sleeping with 100 men in a certain amount of time. Lily Phillips, it was 100. I don't remember the time frame they gave. It's not relevant. But it's mass degeneracy. It crashes discourse. It normalizes immorality on industrial scale because these people end up going on podcasts with Andrew Tate. They did it. They were meeting at the Davenport Manor by Edward Davenport, who also has a place in L.A. where near where the L.A. wildfires hit. And by the way, the L.A. wildfires also destroyed a Medici villa right over a bunch of people. Like it was Pacific Palisades. A bunch of people in the Medici network, not Medici, Diddy network were involved with that. So yeah, that's another connections to these trafficking networks that actually can reach pop culture to these covert kind of Roman Italian families. But yeah, so Orsini and Davenport, they post pictures together on their social media over in Thailand. So it's like that's not enough to prove anything over on the Thailand area, but other things that are pretty concerning is Edward Davenport actually got charged with real estate crimes, tax evasion crimes relating to property over in Thailand. It's like, okay, what's he using those for? What kind of money laundering's going over there? Wait, if there's a big trafficking operation, wouldn't they give him a wrist slap? Because he's pretty much like has whenever it's like you can look up his net worth. It's something in maybe like tens of millions at most, but it's pretty obvious whatever he wants, he can get it whenever he wants. So it's like he's obviously got more wealth than his Google reporting net worth will give you, right? That just shows you that these people have access to the criminal infrastructure that keeps the central banking cartel itself afloat. So it's like, whenever they need money or resources, they can just get it whenever they want. But what I'm saying though is all these people involved with these operations, like the people at the top who end up coordinating these things are all like, in terms of geographic centers where all these people end up meeting, who own property in them, a lot of them end up having connections over to these really nefarious trafficking sites over in countries where it's so corrupt, no one can really do anything about it, and you can get away with much more mass murder of the human race. I mean, oh my gosh, I keep going off topic a little bit, but like, look into the missing babies in Argentina during Operation Gladio and Operation Condor. Like they're like, I'm not just making this up. There are mainstream sources reporting on this, and like the only reason why I'm going off the topic for so long on this is because like nothing pisses me off or gets me wanting to keep doing the kind of exposure I'm doing than like this information on the trafficking operations. It's just horrible.
To your point about Argentina too, and like the babies, like there is, I mean, I don't know. This is like harder to prove or whatever, but like there is definitely like weird genetic experiments going on back then. Like these Nazis that escaped through the rat lines down to South America. Like that's what like Boys from Brazil is about, right? That Ira Levin wrote. That like Mengele actually like escaped and was operating in South America and doing these genetic experiments where he had cloned Hitler, right? Like, so I mean, I don't know, you talk about like what's going on with babies, and like, yeah, like documented ones that are missing, but like, if they're doing these like experiments, like we talked today about the Raelians and Clonade. Like they have like these companies that are like they're externalizing that, yeah, we clone people, and
Well, what do you
that
think?
are like tied into the cult. The Raelians are the ones that have that symbol of the swastika and the Star of David intertwined, that Kanye West posted, that got him kicked off of Twitter in 2022. That's the Raelians who own Clonade, the human cloning company.
I have a theory that oh, it's kind of a loose theory, but that MIT professor that you mentioned in relation to
Marvin Minsky.
yes,
Marvin Minsky, yeah.
that part of what Epstein was involved in terms of financial benefactory for MIT's science program, and that professor was specifically about turning Zorro Ranch, his New Mexico property, into a cloning facility.
No question about it. Absolutely no
Yeah,
question about it.
that's like what was actually going on there.
No
How
question.
do you know
That's
that?
like that's exactly what was going
How do you?
on. Yeah.
I've seen claims of that, but how do you know that? I'm just curious.
You
I mean,
can't
they
substantiate it, but there's a lot of evidence that points towards that being a real possibility.
there was like documentation though, that like when they raided it back in like 2019 or whatever, that he was, like this story was, oh, he was just trying to get all these girls pregnant to make like like his kids, and he was going to make like a whole master race of Jeffrey Epstein kids by getting these girls pregnant with
Dude,
like,
I
but
think
that's not what he was doing. They were doing like
no.
like genetic experiment,
I
totally,
mean,
and it's
this
all
kind of goes
eugenics.
Okay, what?
this hold on, this kind of goes a little bit off the rails, but I actually think the purpose of that and the function in the overall Epstein sphere is, if you look at the architecture of the temple on Little St. James, it's almost identical to the bathhouse at this Aleppo citadel in Syria,
Right.
which is actually the temple to Moloch. It's the bathhouse for the
Mhm.
Canaanite sacrifices. And what I think the purpose and function of the cloning in the Epstein sphere is an unlimited source of sacrificial humans
I
for
believe, I
multiple
totally
purposes,
believe
because
that.
I think they could also use a cloning facility to make adrenochrome a mainstream
Dude,
substance.
fuck these people. Like,
Well, I think also that the other thing is that they're using them to like harvest organs so that it goes into the transhumanism and the life extension thing is like if they can clone humans and harvest their organs and implant them, like they can live longer. Like that's
True. Yeah.
probably Kurz, like we were talking about Kurzweil, like he's probably doing that. Like Martine Rothblatt owns a company called United Therapeutics, and they are like pioneering technology that they are 3D printing human organs for real, and they are also like creating chimeric animal organs for implants into humans. They've used like pig organs that they've genetically modified to implant into humans. So definitely I think that the cloning and stuff, a lot of it is about organ harvesting for like life extension
okay, let
purposes
me
too.
just say one thing
Yeah.
about the chimeras really quick, because this is the kind of thing I'll forget because I know either Jordan or you will go on to something else that's relevant. But back when I was 8, my parents told me not to go on websites like WikiLeaks. I did. I saw a video like, okay, maybe this was fake. It's like maybe you could fake this. Maybe you could fake this back in 2004. I'm a little skeptical, but I saw pretty realistic looking videos of pig human hybrids and things like that, and thing like I shouldn't have seen that stuff when I was 8. Like I also saw like children getting mass murdered with like guns from helicopters and stuff like that. Like just mowed down and blood spraying everywhere. But man, like I saw some footage of what maybe it's fake, but it looked like multiple kinds of chimeras actually mixed with humans, where it's like it was pretty messed up.
I mean, like as regards pigs, they say that like pigs and humans like are compatible for those
Yeah.
kinds of like exchanges, and to the degree that like seriously, Martine Rothblatt, who we were talking about before, transgender to transhuman, the manifesto is creating like chimeric pig organs to go into human bodies, and they actually have trialed that. Like that has actually happened, I believe, with lungs, if I'm not mistaken, pig lungs into human bodies.
Well, no, what I saw, it was more than that. It was like facial
No,
features
oh,
merged. Like,
I know what
yeah,
you're saying.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just saying that it's not as far fetched.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
if this is what they're externalizing in the 2020s of like, oh, we can move a pig lung into a human body, then yeah, then like 20 years ago, maybe that's what they already had, and like maybe you saw something real, but like pigs and humans like have a level of
Well,
compatibility
yeah.
that other species don't.
How they know about AI back in 1967 when they made The Prisoner?
Oh, I mean, dude, 1968, 2001: A Space Odyssey. What is that about? It's about
Well,
AI, right?
yeah, I put the Klaatu speech from the day the Earth stood still in the replies. That's actually from the 50s. So that predates all of it. And I think
I
that's
mean,
loosely. I think that speech is loosely taken off, inspired by H.G. Wells's book New World Order. That kind of like lifts off of that material. Which great book. Everyone should read that. If H.G. Wells is famous for War of the Worlds, of course, in the time machine and sci-fi fiction, light sci-fi fiction of the early 20th century. But he wrote a book that's literally called The New World Order that is like the fucking Fabian socialist plan.
I mean, he also wrote The Open Conspiracy, which is
Yeah.
nonfiction.
No,
Right.
About
Well,
like, I mean,
H.G. Wells. H.G. Wells was actually a shot caller. He was actually.
yeah, he was a big time
major shot caller, and
H.G.
major.
he's the
Wells is
one.
above H.G. Wells is above Victor Rothschild. Let's put it that way. He was above
He
David Rockefeller and Victor Rothschild. Yeah.
H.G. Wells was groomed by Thomas H. Huxley, who was
Yeah.
Darwin's
Correct.
bulldog, who like usurped the Royal Society with his X Club. So when you hear about like X and like Elon Musk changes the name of the app to X, like it's homage
Yeah. Well,
to Huxley and his X Club.
Elon Musk is a member of the Royal Society too.
He's a
Yeah.
fellow since 2018, no joke, for real. And H.G. Wells was mentored by T.H. Huxley, the grandfather of Julian Aldous, and H.G. Wells was their mentor. Like he was the intermediary between those generations. It was like you know he's like you say shot caller. Like H.G. Wells was big time, and science fiction like as a genre is predictive programming. I mean, it's like you think you look at everything that we think of as like, oh, the future and this and that. Like it was given to us by science fiction. It was H.G. Wells, it was Arthur C. Clarke, it was Philip K.
Don't
Dick,
no,
it
do
was
not forget
Isaac
Isaac
Asimov,
AI.
Robert
No,
Heinlein,
AI. No,
who
AI is more Isaac Asimov than any of those
Yeah.
guys.
Right, no, totally. But I mean, it's all of them are giving us little pieces of all of it, you know?
Well, it's
It's
kind of
like
funny that you
science fiction is grooming society. There's no
well,
question.
and it's funny because you brought in Darwin and how it relates to Huxley because there's a connection there, and you kind of
Huge connection.
and you start to kind of formulate through that, like, if you were to graph this all out, you kind of start to formulate how it that closed feedback system is constructed. Like each person plays a role in that closed feedback system where Darwin offers a scientific method that works for completely materialistic secularized system, and then you have someone like H.G. Wells who's doing the imaginative entertainment sphere of things, when in reality he's also doing the nonfiction, making the plans of how the next 100 years is going to go. It's fascinating how that closed system of the wizard circle actually operates.
Oh, absolutely. And like, that's what the Royal Society is like,
Yeah,
wizardry. It was the
Yeah,
invisible
yeah, and
college. It
no,
was the Rosicrucians. I
and they were
mean,
behind the Enlightenment too. They were like when I call the
right,
Enlightenment
right.
externalization back then, like that was the Royal Society,
But
Rosicrucian Order, and Jesuit
yeah,
Order working together. Yep, there you go.
But like none of us would have ever heard of Charles Darwin if it wasn't for Huxley. For Thomas Huxley was Charles Darwin for all intents and purposes. Like Darwin was like the front facing, like he was almost like kind of like the puppet, like the figurehead, and it was really Thomas Huxley who like made it the thing, and who like made Darwinism, like evolution, like the accepted theory. He went he the and how it all went was he had these series of public debates against clergy members, and it was creationism versus Darwinist evolutionism, whatever. And Thomas Huxley was the one who went and like absolutely destroyed all of these like clergy members that were trying to argue for creationism, and this was like highly publicized, and that is actually how like Darwinism became like the accepted theory in society, was because Thomas Huxley like popularized it through this series of debates, and like that's why they called him Darwin's bulldog, because he went out there and he like made it like known to the whole world. It's there is like no way that you can like quantify how critical Thomas Huxley was to like our current worldview as a
So okay,
like
so
human
yeah,
society.
I've been putting some thought into this. Here's how I think it works. So Charles Darwin definitely was an agent, but he wasn't. I'm not convinced he was all that high up there. So the way I see it is, of course, this behind the scenes hierarchy that's externalizing has hands on all these educational institutions or in both formal and informal institutions. I think it's more like they keep a survey on people and kind of let them go in their own direction, but they're also able to nudge them and gather information from them. So what it seems like happened is Charles Darwin was kind of a small fry compared to other players, and they're like, "Oh shoot, we got a formula that can work for this." And you actually had like high end people like Huxley. Okay, we're gonna make this happen. That's how I think it works, actually.
Well, and also Darwin's cousin was Francis Galton, so who was like developing like eugenics and social Darwinism at the same time. Like there was like they chose these members of the same family to like put these things out there. Like people don't realize that, but like Galton and Darwin were cousins.
Yep. No, it's
Like these are
yeah,
these are not like disparate people. These are like in the same family.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Darwinism is social Darwinism. Like evolution, eugenics. Like it's the same. Same thing. Like I mean, it's just it's insane. So
Well, I mean, another way to look at it is, again, it's actually an externalization, because it's like they before you had these secular justifications for eugenics, you had occult justifications like, hey, there's not enough people spiritually ready to ascend to the next level. How do we justify that? Survival of the fittest. There we go. And also, the way they explain things, it actually puts people in a materialist demiurgic system. So, for the people who become nihilists, from their occult esoteric perspective, they'll say nihilism, well, they accept the logic of materialism and atheism. So these people are stuck in the material. Therefore, we deserve what we're going to do to them and how we're going to just completely devastate them. And they end up, so like, all of this is just like, you can look at it as apologetics or justifications for the kind of things they decide to do behind closed doors, and just tack on a bunch of fancy words and persuasive rhetoric, and voila, you have a public justification for everything they want to do.
Well, and it's like Barbara Marx Hubbard, and she said, like, we are the riders of the pale horse, like her conscious evolution, movement that was funded by Lawrence Rockefeller. And she says, you talk about externalization. She's like, we are, the riders of the pale horse, like, talking about revelation, and like, the culling of, like, she said, like, we need to cull 25% of the population of the planet, and like, we as the conscious evolution community are the ones who are like the arbiters of it. Like,
Well,
that's
yeah,
who
and
these
that
people
goes
are.
back. Yeah,
And she was like, she was like a disciple of Chardin. I mean, like, it's just, like,
well,
they're
and
all.
that also goes back to Alice Bailey, because, like, remember, her instead of there being an end cause with Thomas Aquinas, where the end cause is you're united to your creator. It's instead your end cause is you become from an effect to a causal agent. It's like
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
apotheosis.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, and that's like what it all is, right? Is, like, this apotheosis, like, it's you've all know Harari, right? Like, we will, like, we will make, what does he say, something about, like, we will make the God of the Bible, look like insignificant, or whatever he said, stuff like that, like, you know that's, they really believe that they're gonna be gods, or that they already are, to whatever degree.